September 15th, 2025, 2:33 a.m. The Persian Gulf was a graveyard of silence when Iran executed what they believed was the perfect backstab. 3 Fateh-class attack submarines, invisible to sonar using new anechoic coating technology, had been stalking U.S. naval assets for 72 hours. Their target, the USS Mobile Bay, and 2 supply vessels conducting a routine logistics transfer at the Bahrain Naval Facility during the night shift change. The attack came without warning. 4 533mm torpedoes sliced through the water at 55 knots, each carrying a 300-kilogram warhead designed to crack steel hulls wide open. The first torpedo struck the USS Supply's portside, detonating 8,000 gallons of diesel fuel in a fireball that lit up the harbor like daylight. The second and third torpedoes found their mark on the Mobile Bay's stern, flooding 2 compartments instantly. The fourth torpedo hit the ammunition tender, sending shockwaves across the entire base. 6 American sailors died in the first 30 seconds. 12 others suffered severe burns and shrapnel wounds. Petty Officer Sarah Chen, just 23 years old, was thrown overboard by the blast force, but managed to pull 2 wounded shipmates to safety before losing consciousness. The base's emergency sirens wailed as black smoke billowed into the night sky, visible for miles across the Gulf. If you're interested in military analysis, please subscribe to our channel for more content like this. In Tehran, Iranian naval commanders celebrated what they called Operation Silent Dagger. Admiral Hossein Khanzadi personally congratulated the submarine crews via encrypted radio, believing they had delivered a crippling blow to American logistics in the region. Iranian state media prepared victory announcements. Revolutionary Guard officers toasted with tea, convinced they had outsmarted the world's most powerful navy. But Iran had made a fatal miscalculation. The ships they targeted weren't isolated vessels. They belonged to the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group, positioned just 180 nautical miles away in international waters. Every hull, every sailor, every drop of fuel was under the direct protection of America's most advanced naval battle group. And at 2:37 a.m., exactly 4 minutes after the attack, the Lincoln's Combat Information Center received the encrypted distress signal. Admiral Rebecca Morrison didn't hesitate. Her voice cut through the radio chatter like a blade. "All stations, this is Lincoln Actual. We have confirmed hostile action against U.S. naval assets. Transition to Condition 1. Execute immediate retaliation protocols." Within minutes, the massive nuclear-powered carrier began its turn toward Iranian waters. Flight deck crews raced to arm FA-18E Super Hornets with AGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles and GBU-31 JDAM bombs. The carrier's 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, USS Stockdale and USS Higgins, received targeting coordinates for Bandar-e-Lenga, the Iranian port where intelligence had traced the submarine attack's origin. At 3:15 a.m., satellite reconnaissance confirmed what American analysts suspected. The port wasn't just a launching point for the submarines. It was a major Iranian naval hub housing 6 Fateh-class submarines, a Ghadir-class midget submarine construction facility, and the regional command center for Iran's asymmetric naval operations. Fuel depots containing over 180,000 gallons of marine diesel lined the harbor. Underground bunkers stored Valfajr torpedoes and Hoot supercavitating rockets. Operation Iron Thunder launched at 3:22 a.m. 8 FA-18E Super Hornets screamed off the Lincoln's deck at 150 miles, each loaded with 2 2,000-pound JDAM bombs and 4 Harpoon missiles. Behind them, 2 EA-18G Growlers took flight to jam Iranian radar systems. From Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, 2 B-1B Lancer bombers lifted into the pre-dawn darkness, their bomb bays packed with 24 GBU-31 JDAMs each. The Iranian port's defenses never had a chance to respond. At 3:41 a.m., the Growlers struck first, flooding Bandar-e Lenge's radar systems with electronic noise and false targets. Iranian operators stared at screens showing dozens of Phantom aircraft, while the real threat approached at wave-top level. The Super Hornets came in fast and low, hugging the coastline to avoid detection until the final moment. Lead pilot Commander Jake Viper Sullivan locked his targeting system onto the port's primary radar installation. 8 Harpoon missiles launched simultaneously, streaking across the water at 537 meters. The radar tower disintegrated in a shower of sparks and twisted metal, leaving the base blind. Phase 2 began immediately. The Hornets climbed to 15,000 feet and released their JDAMs in staggered formation. GPS-guided bombs rained down on fuel storage tanks, submarine pens, and the command bunker. The first explosion sent a mushroom of orange flame 600 feet into the air as 45,000 gallons of marine diesel ignited. The blast wave shattered windows in buildings 2 miles away. Iranian sailors ran for cover as secondary explosions rippled across the harbor. A torpedo storage facility erupted, sending deadly fragments whistling through the air. 2 Fateh-class submarines, caught surfaced at their moorings, took direct hits and began listing heavily to port. Emergency crews tried desperately to flood ballast tanks, but it was too late. From 35,000 feet above, the B-1B Lancers began their bombing run. Each aircraft released 24 JDAMs in a devastating carpet pattern designed to obliterate every structure within a half-mile radius. The bombs fell like deadly rain, their guidance systems locked onto coordinates provided by overhead surveillance drones. The ammunition depot was the first major target to disappear. When 48 2,000-pound bombs struck within 30 seconds, the resulting explosion registered 3.2 on regional seismographs. The blast crater measured 200 feet across and 40 feet deep. Concrete bunkers built to withstand direct missile strikes simply vanished. Admiral Morrison monitored the strike from the Lincoln's command center, watching satellite feeds that showed the Iranian port transforming into a hellscape of fire and destruction. Her tactical officer reported target assessments in real time. Fuel Depot Alpha destroyed, Submarine Pen Bravo collapsed, Command Bunker Charlie obliterated. But the most devastating blow was yet to come. Intelligence had identified the port's main fuel depot, a massive underground tank farm containing 180,000 gallons of high-octane marine fuel. The facility was designed to supply Iran's entire southern fleet for 6 months. It was about to become the largest maritime fire in Persian Gulf history. At 4:07 a.m., the final wave of JDAMs struck the fuel depot's access points. The initial detonations punched through reinforced concrete barriers, exposing the underground tanks to the inferno above. For 20 seconds, nothing happened. Then the earth seemed to split open. The explosion that followed could be seen from space. A pillar of fire erupted 200 feet into the sky, turning night into day across the entire region. The fireball spread across the harbor's surface like liquid hell, consuming everything in its path. Steel melted, concrete cracked. The sea itself appeared to burn as fuel spread across the water in flaming patches. 3 Iranian submarines were caught in the Holocaust. The crews never had time to escape. 2 vessels capsized and sank within minutes, their hulls cracked open by the intense heat. A 3rd submarine, the Iris Fateh, broke in half as its fuel tanks detonated, sending debris raining down across the burning port. Iranian casualties were catastrophic. The port's command staff, including Rear Admiral Davoud Salamat, died instantly when their underground bunker collapsed. Submarine crews trapped at their moorings had no escape route through the wall of flame surrounding them. Emergency responders couldn't reach the harbor through the choking black smoke that now covered 3 square miles of coastline. By 4:30 a.m., American reconnaissance confirmed total mission success. The port of Bandar-e Lenge had been erased from existence. Satellite imagery showed nothing but a smoking crater where Iran's premier naval facility once stood. The fires would burn for 6 days, visible to passing aircraft 100 miles away. The message to Tehran was unmistakable. America had responded to Iran's backstab with overwhelming force, turning their strategic naval asset into a monument of twisted steel and ash. But this was only the beginning of Operation Iron Thunder. The message to Tehran was unmistakable. America had responded to Iran's backstab with overwhelming force, turning their strategic naval asset into a monument of twisted steel and ash. But this was only the beginning of Operation Iron Thunder. At 4:45 a.m., as the fires at Bandar-e-Lenghe continued to rage, Admiral Morrison received intelligence that changed everything. A Global Hawk surveillance drone detected unusual activity at Iran's backup naval facility at Bushehr, 120 miles northwest. Iranian Revolutionary Guard vessels were attempting to evacuate critical personnel and equipment before the Americans could strike again. "They're running," Morrison's intelligence officer reported. Satellite shows 3 Hendijan-class patrol boats, loaded with what appears to be senior naval staff, departing Bushehr harbor. The admiral's response was immediate and decisive. "Not on my watch. Expand the target list. I want every Iranian naval asset within 200 miles neutralized." Operation Iron Thunder entered its final phase at 5:12 a.m. The USS Stockdale and USS Higgins, positioned 45 nautical miles offshore, received firing coordinates for a coordinated Tomahawk cruise missile barrage. Each destroyer carried 90 BGM-109 Tomahawks in their vertical launch systems, precision weapons capable of striking targets 1,000 miles away with pinpoint accuracy. The launch sequence began with mechanical precision. Vertical launch cell covers snapped open in perfect synchronization. 48 Tomahawk missiles erupted from their tubes in controlled intervals, each one programmed with GPS coordinates for specific targets across Iran's southern naval infrastructure. The missiles climbed to 500 feet, then dropped to wave-skimming altitude, racing toward their targets at 550 mph. Meanwhile, the Abraham Lincoln had turned into the wind for one final sortie. 6 FA-18F Super Hornets thundered off the deck, each armed with 4 AGM-158 JASSM cruise missiles. These weren't ordinary bombs. The Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff missiles carried 1,000-pound penetrating warheads designed to destroy hardened underground bunkers from 230 miles away. At Bushehr, Iranian radar operators detected the incoming Tomahawks with just 4 minutes warning. Air defense batteries scrambled to engage, but the missiles were flying too low and too fast. The port's 3 S-300 missile systems managed to lock onto only 2 targets before the barrage overwhelmed their tracking capabilities. The first Tomahawk struck at 5:47 a.m. The Bushehr Naval Command Center disappeared in a fireball that shattered windows 5 miles inland. 6 more missiles found the submarine construction facility, collapsing reinforced concrete walls that had taken 3 years to build. Fuel storage tanks erupted in sequence, creating a chain reaction of explosions that turned the harbor into an inferno. But the most spectacular destruction was reserved for Iran's crown jewel, the Bushehr submarine base's dry dock facility. This massive complex housed Iran's most advanced submarine program, including 2 nearly completed Fateh-class vessels worth $400 million each. The facility was built 40 feet underground, protected by layers of reinforced concrete and steel. The JSSM missiles arrived like thunder from the sky. Launched from 200 miles away, they had flown undetected beneath Iranian radar coverage until the final seconds. 12 penetrating warheads struck the dry dock complex within 30 seconds, punching through the concrete layers like paper. The underground facility became a tomb of twisted metal and collapsed steel beams. When the secondary explosions began, the earth shook for miles around. Stored torpedo fuel detonated in a chain reaction that lasted 4 minutes. The blast was so powerful, it created a seismic event measuring 2.8 on the Richter scale. Geologists in Kuwait detected the shockwaves 300 miles away. Iranian emergency response was paralyzed. The fires at 2 major ports consumed all available firefighting resources.
What would soon become one of many in the intensifying Red Sea conflict.
At least 2 years, assuming they could even begin reconstruction. The submarine program that Iran had spent 15 years developing was erased in 15 minutes. By 6:30 a.m., American reconnaissance confirmed the complete success of Operation Iron Thunder. Both major Iranian naval facilities lay in ruins. 6 submarines were confirmed destroyed, along with construction facilities for 12 more. Iran's Southern Fleet Command structure had been decapitated. Fuel reserves that would have lasted 6 months were burning in massive pyres visible from orbit. The human cost for Iran was staggering. Intelligence estimates put military casualties at over 300, including most of Iran's experienced submarine commanders. Admiral Salamat and his entire staff were confirmed dead. The Revolutionary Guard Navy's Southern Command had effectively ceased to exist. American losses remained at 0. Every aircraft returned safely to base. Every missile found its target. The coordinated strike had lasted less than 3 hours from first launch to final impact, but its effects would reshape naval power in the Persian Gulf for decades. In Tehran, the silence was deafening. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei's office issued no statements. State media went dark on military topics. The Revolutionary Guard's usual threats and boasts were replaced by complete radio silence. For the first time in decades, Iran had been struck with such overwhelming force that even propaganda could not spin it as victory. Admiral Morrison's final message to the Pentagon was characteristically brief. Mission accomplished. Iranian naval threat neutralized. All personnel accounted for, returning to station. The fires would burn for weeks, but the message was already clear across the Middle East. The United States Navy doesn't start fights, but it always finishes them. Iran had learned this lesson in the most devastating way possible, watching their entire southern naval capability disappear in a sea of fire.